Hello and welcome to the Stretford Paddock Chat. I'm Kirsty Shouts and joining me in the studio today is my lovely co-host Angelina Kelly. Nice to see you again.
You too.
And we are joined by ex-pro and media pundit Danny Webber. So nice to have you with us.
Good to be here.
How was your summer?
Yeah, it's been good actually. Yeah, it's been good. Done a bit of travelling, Done what I needed to do work-wise, had a bit of time with the family, so yeah, can't complain.
Yeah. And was you doing anything for pre-season?
I just did little bits at the club, doing, around the tour, a few games around the tour, and obviously podcast stuff, and that's it really. Now it starts to get a little bit busy, obviously, with the season kicking off, doesn't it?
Yeah. And of course, you were covering the game at Old Trafford against Brighton at the weekend. Definitely a game I think that a lot of people were hoping would kick off with a win. Brighton's first ever win at Old Trafford. Yeah. What was the atmosphere like? What was it like to be back at Old Trafford?
You know what, it was the beginning before the game was just full of excitement. I could tell it was like a real excitement after a good pre-season. Everybody was buzzing. You know, I walked through the stands to get through, and I was just like proper good energy, people singing. And I think like quite rightly so as well. I think with the way the pre-season had gone, or has gone, you know, everybody was optimistic. And then obviously the game happened and it was different at the end, but everybody was there in full voice. And yeah, just the result didn't match the atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously today everyone's talking about transfer news.
Yeah.
And especially after the weekend, I think everyone wants to know what sort of the plans are for Erik ten Hag. We all know he hasn't got an easy job this season. He's going to have to make a lot of changes. Some people will say that they feel like the transfer window has sort of not been as they hoped throughout the summer as well. How have you what are your opinions on that?
I think it's always difficult because, you know, my job day to day is an agent, so I understand sometimes the logistics behind a deal as opposed to it just being like, we want him, there's the money, pay it, and he comes. Do you know what I mean? So if you look at like the Frankie de Jong, thing that's gone all summer, there's so many pieces to it. You know, you'd like to think that you go, right, you come in and it's done before pre-season starts and then you get on with it. But you look at it, if it was, put yourself in de Jong's shoes, you know, he can't come out and say he wants to come to Man United, you know, because he's contracted to Barcelona. Yep. If he did and the deal fell through, then the Barcelona fans would hate him, you know. So if that was one of our players, we'd be like, he wanted to leave and he stayed. You wouldn't like it, would you? So he's got to play his game professionally. Do you know what I mean? Forces his move, he forfeits the money that he's owed, and the money that 17 million or whatever the figure is, it's a hell of a lot of money for anybody to say, actually, forget it, I want to leave. So, if it was, they were sort of talking about taking 3 million. Take 3 million, there's your offer, and off you go. But if I owed you 170 quid and offered you 30, you wouldn't be happy, would you? And it's the same. It's the same. No. Exactly. It's the same thing in context. But I think transfer-wise, I think Eriksen, very good signing. I think that's really a real positive one for us. He's got
really good game on Sunday.
Yeah. I think he did. Yeah, he grew more and more into the game. I think the tougher the game got, the better he got, which was really enthusiastic. Positive to see. Yeah, when Ronaldo came on and he dropped deeper, I thought he started to dictate the game. And I think there's always this thing about holding midfielder. At the moment, like, people have got this mentality that you have to go around smashing people and cover every blade of grass. But he comes when he's sitting deep, he is like more, how can I put it, dictates the play. Like Carrick did, that kind of player. So, the clever in the way they break it up. You're not going to see him covering every blade of grass, but they're intelligent in the way they do things. And I just thought he was excellent. Thought Martinez started a little bit shaky, but grew into the game as well. I said on MUTV at the weekend, I said it was almost like welcome to the Premier League at the beginning, because Welbeck was on fire. Welbeck he played really well. And Martinez was like, right, okay. But it's almost like he went in at half time, thought, right, okay, I get it. And then he grew stronger. So that's encouraging, because yes, we didn't win the game and it was disappointing, but to see the players come in, rise to the occasion, and get better as the game was getting worse, and even though it sounds a bit weird, I thought it was encouraging.
Yeah, definitely, and it's good to see that some of the players that we've brought in, are doing well, and there's still names that we're being linked with. One of them being Adrien Rabiot, £16 million. It's looking like the first thing I want to say about this though is what is really annoying me is so many people are going after the fact that his mother is his agent.
Yeah.
How many footballers have their dads, have their brothers, or males in their family as their agents? And I was just like, you know what? If his mum's his agent, leave her alone. Leave him alone. Like, she's been doing all right so far. It really wound me up. But what do you make of him coming in? Because obviously, good play with PSG. It's not really gone to total plan at Juventus, I think it's safe to say. There has been this controversy with the French national team, although I do really rate the fact that he was like, you want me on standby? No, I'm not interested. I did kind of rate that, but what do you think about him being United's, hopefully, next signing?
I think it's really good. I do. I think it's positive. If you look at him, the way he plays, the presence he has, it's not one that I saw on the radar, to be fair.
Same, yeah.
You know what I mean? But I really do think, if you'd have said to me last year or in the summer, Rabiot's going to come in, I'd have said yes every day of the week. So he adds quality. He does cover the ground well. And I think he's got enough about him, not arrogance, but bordering on confidence, arrogance, to wear the shirt well. So, no, I think Rabiot, if we can get it done, will be massive.
The fact that it's under that 20 mil mark as well is obviously probably a real bonus for United at the moment.
It's good business. Yeah. Really good business, because we're being, sometimes we're being extorted because people know we need the players. And this one, that's great value, 16, 17 million, whatever it is immense value. So, yeah, I think it'll be a good one. And I know some people are questioning his character. But similarly, like when Cantona came, people questioned his character, and look at what the impact he had at the football club. So if he comes here, he does the right things, it could be a good sign. Well, should be a good signing.
Absolutely. Someone that is potentially off the cards, well, we believe he is off the cards, Marko Arnautovic is now off the cards. They've said that the fee was too high, and that some fans were actually writing in to say that they weren't happy with his appointment, if he was appointed. Do you think that he would have been a good signing, or are you sort of happy if that's off the cards?
I don't. Again, that's not one that... I like him as a player. I do. I liked him at West Ham. I liked him at Stoke. I thought he leads the line well. I think he's strong, but he's not the kind of signing that you would see. Well, he's not a future signing, is he? If you get what I mean, for the next 4 or 5 years. And I think they're the signings that we should be making. So when I saw it didn't really... I didn't get excited about it. I thought if he's a body in the building and he is a good player, then fine. But I didn't go, wow, we're getting Arnautovic. And it's the same way I look at Rabiot. And the same way I look at Eriksen. I didn't think Arnautovic, yes, he's going to really improve us. But again, going back to sort of putting a team together and the dynamics of it, sometimes you need something like when Sir Alex bought Teddy Sheringham, that was never on the radar. And he was an older player, but he was one of 4 strikers that gave you something different. And I think if we had, Martial fit, and obviously Ronaldo, and maybe another striker, and then you brought in Arnautovic, you go, okay, he's an option. But it's just, I think the fear of him being the main man leading the line for Man United at 33 didn't appeal to many.
Yeah, I would agree as well. But I was thinking it was quite interesting, this talk about, fans were writing in and expressing their concerns and stuff. I know that there's a lot of different reasons why people have concerns about him and his character and things like that. But what do you make about... I mean, I can understand why fans did write in, because, like you say, having a 33-year-old leading the line, how many times have we had these kind of stopgap strikers at Manchester United that don't really fit the bill of what we need? But on the other hand, should fans be kind of dictating who we do or don't sign? What do you guys think of that? Because it's quite an interesting topic that a lot of people are saying, like with these fans writing these emails, it's been, a key component in them kind of backing off, that fans have that kind of power.
Cool.
All I was going to say is I think truthfully that if they thought that he was someone that we really, really needed, that the fans' opinions, yes, of course, it's important, but I don't think that they would have been fully dictated by that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
That's what I think.
I think, but also there's times where you do have to take the temperature of the fans. You have to understand, what do we want as a football club? But that wouldn't have been a deciding factor. The club will make decisions based on their intel, their data, and the people who sit around the table and make those decisions. They'll make those decisions based on their intel. So I don't think that the letters will have had the impact if they really wanted to sign him, as you say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As always, guys, get involved in the comments. Make sure that you send us your super chats. We've got one here from Chicano 1987. Thank you. Saying, what if Ten Hag realised on Saturday that it will take several transfer windows to correct this team, and he has gone and given the go-ahead for cheaper transfers? So, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, isn't it, that this is not going to be... He hasn't got the names that he was first linked with. He clearly hasn't got the names that on his dream list of transfers. He's not going to get them. Mm-hmm. And, there's lots of different reasons for that, like you said about the De Jong situation. Also the fact that it's harder to recruit players, the fact that we don't have Champions League football. We've been in a bit of a mess. But I would probably agree with that I think if he didn't already know, maybe Saturday made him realise again, but this is going to be a several transfer window situation for us to even be competing, in my opinion, with the likes of the players that are aiming for top 4 football.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I think you only have to look at, we're looking right now because we're we're not doing well and our rivals are doing very well. Mm. You look at their journey to getting where they got. It took them years. Yeah. It took Klopp a good number of years to put it together, but they hadn't had the success, so the fans weren't used to that success. If it happened now and Liverpool fell off, the Liverpool fans would be going mad. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just the fact that we are where we are. It feels painful because majority of us have experienced the level of success that Sir Alex brought, and we know what it feels like. So this transition period is taking longer. And we're looking at every window with hope, like, can we get the right players in and can it be done? We looked at the last, four managers or whatever it is, and hope that they would solve the problem. And, bit by bit, we will get there. But it's just a frustration that we want to win games. You don't want to start the season in the way we started the season. And it's teams like Brighton, no disrespect to Brighton, they're actually a really good side and, they're put together very well. But you don't want them to come to Old Trafford, or we go there and they beat us, and it winds me up even watching their fans celebrate, if you get what I mean, because it's not what we know it's. But the corner will turn the corner, and I'm not just being optimistic. I really think we'll turn the corner. I think Ten Hag himself has got standards. I think over time, and it is time, we are going to get better, but gradually better, and there is going to be results like Brighton where it gives you that horrible feeling again. Oh God, we're back here again. Yeah. But you sometimes have to have that, to turn the corner and sort out which characters, are up for the fight to get you back up.
Because I was thinking this, like last season, everyone was saying, that the team weren't gelling well together, and obviously you all know as an ex-professional how important that is, that you do gel well as a team. But I think obviously we need to understand as well that in order for these players to gel well, and I think you're right, I think Erik Ten Hag is actually a very smart man, and I think he's got a good plan in place, but I think it's going to take time, isn't it, for these players to really understand each other and to gel well. Yeah,
and demanding from each other as well. There's a standard, like Eriksen will come in and he's got his own standard. So there's like a culture that needs to be created in any dressing room of, to win. And demanding from your mate, that's not good enough, you're better than that, come on. And all of a sudden, once you get a few opinion leaders in the dressing room that are really positive influences and don't accept less, it starts with the manager. He brings in the characters, and the characters then are able to run the dressing room. And I think it's not easy. Some people just aren't natural born leaders, and there's not many of them. There's not many Roy Keanes. Even in that era, there were many people who could fill in, but they couldn't do what Roy Keane did every single day and demand standards regardless of what people think of you. And there's not many, and there's people that are quite happy coming and playing their part in the team, which is an important part, but there's not many natural born leaders who just go out and go, right, okay, let's go to war and our football, which is what we need to do, win the war first. Yeah. It's Sir Alex's words.
And obviously we all know that Erik Ten Hag, I think if he had it his way, he wanted to play Anthony Martial at the weekend. Yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts? Should he be given a second chance at the club?
I think so, yeah. I think everybody deserves that. If you're showing the willing and you're doing the work, you're contracted to the club, and you're showing you're going to give your best, then yeah, of course. And I think pre-season, it is a big shame that he wasn't ready for the weekend, because I think he'd have made a difference. You know, because he's been sharp pre-season, his finishing's good. And let's not forget, I think it's 2 years ago, he was 27 goals, I think it was, he got in that season.
You forget that though, don't you? That's it, when you've had like a bad season, you kind of forget these stats.
Yeah, and people sometimes question his body language or question his application. You know, it's when you're in a team, as well as a striker, when you're in a team, sometimes it isn't doing that well. You feel like you're being starved of like, you know, and then a chance comes your way and you're not confident, but you still got to front it, because there's 76,000 people looking at you like, well, you're better than that. And in your head, you're having these mental battles like, I am better than that, but God, I've missed that chance. I should have. Well, game's going on. I better, you know, click back into gear. So I really like Martial as a footballer. You know, I want to see that consistency that he showed a few years ago. And I want, same with Marcus. I want Marcus to get back, and he needs one Marcus just to go in from a yard, and then all of a sudden you release that pressure, and then you get on a scoring run. And I think that will happen, but we've just got to stick with them.
Do you worry about the striker situation? Because obviously you said, you know, we did have that season of Martial where he was absolutely fantastic. You know, last season, even the loan to Sevilla, it didn't really work out. But there's a lot of pressure on him this season, and I think it's very much a sink or swim kind of season for him potentially, in that, you know, he's being given the opportunity of, you know, the Ronaldo situation, whether he stays, goes, or even if he does, you know, stay, we don't know what's going to happen with that, of course. So there is pressure on him alongside Ronaldo as being, you know, the main people to bring us the goals. Do you worry about that pressure being on him? And also, you know, we saw that he was injured. Ronaldo, as great as he is still 37 years of age, could potentially get injured. Hopefully not. But does that worry you, our striker situation, that we don't really have that many names to rely on? I
think so, yeah, because you're trying to compete to get in the top four, and you're looking at the teams around you, and they've got numerous options who, you know, in the way they play. And that's the frustration we saw. We played the false nine on the weekend, you know, Bruno, and you lose a dynamic when you don't have a striker like that as a number 9 who understands the runs and all that kind of thing. So, like you say, if one or two got injured, we're in trouble. Then you start. But I say Marcus can play through the middle as well. I think obviously Erik ten Hag thought about that. I heard him say that he thought about playing him through the middle, but he'd done that well on the left through pre-season, that he kind of didn't want to mess with the rhythm, if you get what I mean. But yeah, no, we need out and out people who are specialists in their position. And I think that's it. You don't want to feel like you're always going, well, you just go and play over there for me, and you play over there for me. You know, you want specialists, and that's your job, and you know what you're about.
Yeah, as you say, sometimes it's good to have players that are all-rounders, but then, as you say as well, it's also good to have players that are specifically good for a certain position. Yeah. If you had your way, who would you like to bring in as a striker? Is there anyone sort of on your radar that you think would be a good fit?
You know what? Honestly, you look throughout world football, there's not many top strikers, which is why City went, Haaland, we'll have you, and why when it looked like we were getting Nunez, you know, Liverpool went, no, we'll get you, because there ain't that many. You've got Kane, you've got Lewandowski, you know, you take any of them, but Lewandowski's aging, so you'd probably go, all right, Kane would fit the bill, even though Lewandowski's ridiculously fit and scores a lot of goals. But no, you've got Kane, Lewandowski, you've got Haaland, you've got Nunez, and then you're going a tier below, you know, unless probably miss one or two, but then you start going Mbappe, then you start going a tier below, and then it's, this is where I think, you know, recruitment now, we have to dig deep and start looking in places like when, you know, I'm harping on about Sir Alex, but when Sir Alex had his team in there, you know, you're going to Scandinavia and finding somebody, or you're going, and the world's a lot smaller now because of data, because of technology and the scouting networks available, so it's harder to find somebody that people don't know, but it is still possible to do. You just got to make sure you're turning over every leaf in every country.
Somebody said in the chat, Daniel Wilson, getting Martinez from Inter would have been a great fit, and I think somebody like him would have been a great option, but you know, we did sign the extension with Inter. I know he was linked with Barcelona and stuff, and that's the thing, it's like there's not that many options. Somebody here saying we should go in for Tammy Abraham. Think of that what you will. But yeah, definitely I agree, it is it is slim pickings, and unfortunately with us not having that pool that maybe we once had, it makes things, you know, a lot more difficult, and obviously it was difficult at the weekend. That game was not It wasn't great, was it?
No, it wasn't. You know, the results.
It's just not what we were expecting, is it? As
I think after pre-season, hopes were really high. The people that take pre-season... I mean, me personally, I don't like to build my hopes up too much with pre-season. I look at it from a distance.
Yeah.
Yep, that looks good. I'm happy with that, but I can't get my hopes up with this club anymore because it will make me want to cry. So I tried to kind of rein myself in. But I was like, oh, okay, this could go well. But then at the same time, by the time it was full time, I was almost kind of like, well, am I that surprised as well, kind of thing?
I think it's a difficult one, though, because usually at Old Trafford, you know, we usually have quite a good record, don't we, at home? But I think it's a difficult one because, as we've spoken about, the team is going to take time to gel.
Yeah.
Erik ten Hag's first game. And I think in terms of the crowd and everything, it's normal to go in and get a loss and feel like, oh, here we go again. But we've got the whole season ahead of us, and hopefully, like the game was, they didn't start well. Fair to say they didn't start well. But as you said as well, they gradually got better as the game went on, and hopefully that's how the rest of this season will go.
Yeah, I think Ronaldo made a difference, and I think the way we set up allowed Brighton to start very well and grow in confidence through the game because when I say that, I'm talking about a lack of a front man, and you just saw the opposite. We've got Danny Welbeck, he played unbelievably, doing all the things that if he'd have been on our side at the weekend, or if we'd have had somebody like that, like Martial or whatever.
I was thinking that watching him, I was like,
we'd have,
damn, I'd probably have him over Martial at this point.
Yeah, we'd have. That was the thing we were missing because their two centre halves could see everything. Nobody's running in behind them, and it was easy for them, you know, because it's not Bruno's game. Bruno's not going to be running in behind at pace and causing problems and in that sense, and that's why it got better because everybody sort of clicked back into their natural position. Bruno dropped back, Eriksen dropped back, Ronaldo started making runs, and then we had more of the ball. Obviously, Eriksen's shot it was that went for the corner that we ended up scoring from, and people were just, you know, in their right positions and understanding it. And I just think we hadn't. The hard thing is we hadn't played a false nine all pre-season, so to do it, even though the players are intelligent enough to go and do it, it was a risk. And if it had paid off, brilliant. But it didn't pay off on the weekend.
Obviously, Maguire, he got quite a lot of backlash last season, probably fair to say, especially, you know, people questioning his captaincy, etc. What did you think about him with Martinez on Sunday, and what do you think the future is going to be like for that duo?
I think that it was difficult. It's always difficult to, you know, because one of the most important partnerships on the pitch are two centre halves. So when you're swapping and changing, and Maguire's played left side for the majority of his time at United, so he's now back on the right side. Obviously, Martinez has come in and he's come in late into the club. So you're looking at it and thinking it's almost impossible for them to just hit the ground running and it just work, if you get what I mean. So you're understanding what he's like, and I think that's why probably Malacia didn't start as well, because if you'd have had Malacia and Martinez on the left-hand side, I think it would have been, you know, too risky, even though we've done well. But in terms of Maguire, again, I'm one of them. I know what it's like as a player where you're not playing well and everybody's on your case, and I just think we got to get behind people. You know, for me as a supporter, you support, you know, and that's the way I look at it. I think even though it's not enjoyable to watch somebody go through the mill and not do so well, it's amazing what the support from the fans can do for you. You know, when you feel like they're behind you, and it's amazing how it can tear you down when they're not behind you. You know, and it's your home fans, it's your home. You want them to be behind you. You know, so I think he's been given the captaincy on merit, and I hope he comes through it and starts to play at his level that we saw, you know, in his early days at United and when he was playing for England.
And you obviously are there at most of the home games. I mean, you probably can lap up the sort of atmosphere of some of the players as well. Because last season, some people were saying, you know, they just don't seem interested, you know, and they were saying the players just don't seem like they want to be there. But would you disagree with that? Especially like someone like Maguire, you know, who, as you say, had so much backlash last year.
I wouldn't say they don't want to be there. I think it's, you know, it's difficult. You think about it, take football out of the equation, but if you're in your job and somebody's on your case every single day, and you're trying to do your best and it doesn't go, it can grind you down. It can. And I'm not saying that you you know, you still got to have the character to come through it. You know, wearing a United shirt is heavy enough anyway. The badge on your shirt is heavy enough. It's the biggest club in the world, if you know, one of. And wearing that shirt alone is a big pressure. It's a big weight. There's an expectancy. You know that when you pull on the shirt. You know it when you walk through the corridors at the club. You know what's expected of you. But it doesn't make it easy, you know. So from my point of view, I just think, you know, some lads were out there and were a bit lost and needed a break. Really, like, the pressure, it's not going well, and you get that feeling again, oh my God, it's not going well. And then, no, let's try and do well, and then it doesn't go well again. And it's almost like a cycle that sometimes it's like, come here. And Sir Alex used to do it with young players, and he'd say, come here, come out for 5 minutes. And then, but he could do that because the team was winning. Yeah. You know, and it's hard to go to the captain or to anybody in the team, come out for a minute, just take 5 minutes. It's not a punishment. Yeah. Just kick back, and someone else go in and do the job. So when the team's losing, it's hard to do that. And I just think that, you know, stick with people. That's my sort of way of thinking.
We've got a super chat here. Maybe you can shed some light on this with your work. We've got a chat from Abhinav Vema. Apologies if I said your name incorrectly. Barca are asking Frankie to terminate his current contract and sign another one too. Won't that make him a free agent and he can go for free?
It would do if they terminated it and he didn't sign the new one, but they wouldn't do that. They'd get him to sign the new one first. Yeah. It'd be easier. I
feel like the powers that be at Barcelona are smart. They've been smart enough to make the signings that they've made this season, despite their issues that are allegedly going on. I think they're going to be smart enough to make sure that if they want to keep De Jong, and also even if he was technically a free agent, I feel like the ship has sailed, in my opinion. He doesn't really want to be at the club from the rumours that we're hearing. So I do think that we need to move on. But obviously, you know, he was a big target for Erik ten Hag. He'd worked with him before. I think a lot of people were excited to see like him and Donny van de Beek work. Yeah. Were you pro Ten Hag being at the club anyway and being the next manager to take over?
I was. Yeah, I was. I looked at it and I thought, it's obviously him and Poch. It was all the talk. Yeah, is it him? Is it Poch? But I just looked at what he was doing, and there's a stability to the man, and that's what I like. There's a stability, a standard. You look at, as a player, you're looking at the manager and you think there's something in his eyes where I think I'm not going to mess with that. Or if when he says something, he means it. And I think that's the level of discipline and structure that needs to be back in the dressing room. And I think he's implementing that. You know, players are running for him, and they're trying to implement his tactics on a daily basis. So. Yeah, I was one that I thought it's a good appointment and a thought through one.
Because I think some people were questioning, saying, "Oh, well, you know, yes, he's done extremely well in the Eredivisie, but does that really set you up for the Premier League?" But I am in agreement with you that I actually think he's, no matter who came in for this job, it's always going to be a big job.
Of course.
And I think you're right. I think. Even when I watch sometimes his press conferences, you can see he's got quite a lot of authority. And I think that's probably something that we definitely need, as you say, about in the changing rooms. He might try and shape some stuff around differently, but I actually think he is a really good appointment. And even though he was in the Eredivisie, look what he did there. Okay, yes, it's not the Premier League, but he knows what he was stepping into.
Yeah, and I think you look at him and think every challenge he'd had so far, he'd met and he'd improved everywhere he's been. Yeah. This is his biggest challenge to date, and as you say there, anybody who would have walked into it would have been their biggest challenge to date. Yeah. And if he gets the signings right, and what I really like is that he's got the young lads. He brought Garnacho on, didn't think about it. You know, go on Garnacho, you've shown me enough. He had like Zidane Iqbal and Charlie Savage and people like that in pre-season. And like, go on, show me what you're about. So he's not scared of playing young players, and you saw that at Ajax. So for me, I think getting the balance right of playing young players, so we're not having to buy everybody, giving them enough exposure, and buying in the right characters, which is for me is the key. You know, we might buying the right characters is be all and end all. You know, you can have some top players, but if they're not right in the dressing room, it ruins the whole flow. And the young lads then learn their habits. Yeah, you know,
that's a really good point. Because some people have been questioning, you know, do we give more chances to the younger players? As you say, I think it's actually quite nice to see that he's not afraid to do that.
Not at all, and it's on merit.
Yeah,
you know, Zidane Iqbal, for me, wasn't on the radar for the last manager. Whereas he's come in, been given the chance, and yeah, there you go, son. You've been great. Garnacho was outstanding last season in the Youth Cup, winning. You know, everything he did. It was, you know, he got in the Argentina squad to train. So, you know, he's quite rightly pushing for minutes. It's not that you're going to start every week, and you know, you've got Elanga who took his chance last season as well. Yeah. So I look at it and I think we've actually got a good crop of young players there, giving the right exposure at the right time, taken in, taken out, kept level-headed and kept focused. I think we've got, you know, no need to spend money in certain places.
And looking at, you know, the work that Ten Hag has done that we've seen in pre-season, of course, you know, things didn't go to plan in the first Premier League game, but I think that we all need to maybe, I know people are frustrated with being patient, but I think you do need to be patient. You can't, you know, go in and go hard on him for one Premier League game.
Yeah.
But what is, in your opinion, what is realistic for Manchester United this season? What is a realistic aim? Because, you know, I've spoken about it before, and, you know, we look at, you know, you've got Liverpool, you've got City kind of up there, you've got Chelsea that are, you know, trying to play catch up and bridge that gap. The teams that we were kind of around the same level as, you could argue, you know, Spurs and Arsenal, they have made a lot of moves this transfer window. Yeah. Me personally, I've been a little bit concerned. I mean, you know, Man United, 1 minute you think it's going downhill and then they can surprise you. The next minute things are going well and it goes downhill. It can be all over the place. But I was a little bit concerned looking at, oh God, Arsenal have signed this player, Spurs. Is that gap going to be a bit too big? What are your realistic expectations?
I think this year progress would represent, well, what would represent progress? Us getting in the top four, and it's not a win, but it's progress. When you look at the competition we're up against and getting some form of silverware, whatever that looks like, just to get the winning habit back. Understand, you know, we've got a lot of players there who haven't won trophies, to get that feeling of, okay, like Rabiot's won, Varane's won, Ronaldo's won. You know, it's key we have those people in place to help the rest, you know, the lads who haven't won, pull it together. But if we win a trophy and we finish fourth, I'd say that's progress. I'm not happy with it, but I'm happy with the progression. Yeah,
definitely.
Do you think top four?
I mean, I would like top four, 100%.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think the only thing that worries me about top four is that I think just because Spurs and Arsenal have made these signings, you know, it's not the be-all and end-all, doesn't mean that they're going to be a million times better than us, but I feel like we might need a little bit of luck on our side. We might need a few slip-ups from other teams, and that's what maybe makes me a bit worried of what if we have to rely on things like that. But at the same time, I always like to be an optimist.
Yeah.
I don't think it's completely out of the question, but I think we're going to have to see this progress, like you've been talking about. We're going to have to see, you know, before Christmas, we're going to have to see a big change compared to, you know, what we had to go through last season, definitely.
Yeah, it might be almost like a gradual success, as we say, like as the season goes on, you know, people find their feet a bit more. We're still going through all of this transfer talk at the moment.
Yeah.
That can be a big distraction in itself. But yeah, I'm with you. I think a top four finish would be brilliant for the club, and as you say, it would be a fantastic first season back for Erik ten Hag, and if he can do that, then I think that's a merit to him, to be honest, especially just because of what a difficult position he has come into.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Lost many players, you know, but experienced players, your Matas, your Matiches and people like that, who are actually real good people in the dressing room and winners. You know, you've got to replace them with winners and get that blend right whilst winning football matches, whilst trying to get your signings right, you know, under immense pressure, because this club has to be at the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no ifs or buts. Man United should be every single season competing for titles, and I know nobody's in there trying not for that to happen. Everyone's in there with the intention for that to happen, but the key detail, I'm hoping that, you know, the changing structure at the club will definitely sort of supplement that.
And have you got much planned with MUTV this season? Sort of, you doing any one-to-one interviews? I know you was doing the podcast throughout pre-season. So yeah, have you got anything big coming up?
Nothing out of the ordinary. No, just, you know, enjoy doing the match days, because I'd be at the games anyway, and I enjoy being, you know, involved in it all. So I'll just be doing sort of like the things like the box to boxes, the bits of analysis, and match day lives and all that kind of thing. I just do as I'm told. Yeah.
But being at Old Trafford never gets old, though, does it?
No, I love it. I do. It's something that from the first time as a kid when I walked in there, even every time I walk in there now and I just see it, I just think, yeah, you know, even though you might walk away disappointed or you might walk away, it's an emotional place.
Yeah.
And, you know, it plays with your emotions, good, bad and indifferent.
100%.
Yeah.
And obviously you've been doing a bits with Sky and ITV as well. All is that going well?
Yeah, enjoy it again. I'm just there if people need me. You know what I mean? I'm there like, yeah, you fancy it? Yeah, hello kind of thing. But no, again, it's the sort of thing that I'd be at football matches whether I'm doing media, whether I'm not. Football's a big part of my life. I enjoy going to games. I enjoy the atmosphere. Enjoy the smell of the hot dogs and just the whole thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would
Soaking
be at
it
games
up.
anyway. Yeah, exactly. And I try and get to as many games just so I've, you know, I'm across everything, so I understand the levels and for all sides of my work, so I know what's going on in every league. So yeah, no, I enjoy it.
Brilliant. And for our viewers, if they want to find you on socials, where can they catch you?
Instagram mainly. I'm not massive on Twitter, but I am on Twitter. It's at Daniel Webber 81, I think. But my Instagram's at Danny Webber 81. That's probably where I'm mostly active.
Brilliant. And Ange, if our fans would like to catch up with you on socials.
Just had one last super chat here, which I think we'll have to save for another day, but Tameen has said, fans are upset with the players and the board, not Ten Hag. I would probably agree with that 100%.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we've got to give Ten Hag a bit of a chance, but yeah, that one just went in there. But yes, as always, Angelina Kelly, not many people called Angelina unless they're a film star. So yeah, just search me, I'm sure you'll find me. So yeah.
I think that's actually a good point to end on, isn't it? It's like Erik Ten Hag, he's got to have the backing from the board and
got to be patient,
and
guys.
the owners. So
And the fans.
And the fans, yeah, absolutely.
Everybody.
And if anyone would like to catch me on social media, I'm just at Kirsty Schultz. Nice and simple. There's not many Schultz around either. But please do leave your comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this live, and we will see you again soon.